lost in the labyrinth of Lagos, swallowed whole by the darkness of addiction. Then, in the dead of night, a voice pierced the silence. Some call it divine intervention, others fate's final twist, but one soul dare defy the abyss.
This story is a journey through Grace's tale of despair, redemption, and ultimate transformation. Listen and learn why it is important to make time for your kids and always be active in their growing up. In the bustling heart of Lagos, where the golden sun cast long, dancing shadows over crowded market streets, and the aroma of roasted plantains mingled with the salty tang of the Atlantic, a story as timeless as ancient lore began to unfold. Within a stately mansion nestled among lively neighborhoods, a young girl named Grace lived a life defined by privilege yet shrouded in isolation. Born into wealth, her days were draped in silk and marble. However, the mansion's echoing halls spoke of a loneliness that no luxury could cure. Her parents, ensnared in international business affairs, were rarely present, leaving Grace to wander through life without the guiding warmth of family love. The sun does not forget a village, an old saying murmured by the servants, reminding everyone that regardless of wealth or modernity, one's roots and traditions remained eternally significant. As the vibrant city pulsed around her, Grace's destiny was being shaped by both the splendor and the solitude that defined her early life. During her early years, Grace's world was one of wonder and quiet discovery. The sprawling compound was a playground of sunlit gardens, secret alcoves, and ancient trees whose branches whispered forgotten tales. Elders in the household would often say, "A child is like a freshly sown seed. Nurtured well, it shall bloom into a tree of life." Yet, amid the opulence of her surroundings, there was a persistent ache, a yearning for genuine connection. One cool evenings, as she sat by a window draped in hand-woven fabrics, the strains of juju music and the rhythmic beats of talking drums from nearby neighborhoods beckoned her spirit. The city's heartbeat, a blend of tradition and modernity, promised adventures beyond her gilded cage. In her dreams, she longed for a world where laughter, not silence, filled her days, a world where every whispered proverb held the secret to a life fully lived. As adolescence dawned, the chains of isolation began to chafe at Grace's tender spirit. Her innate brilliance and quiet curiosity now sparked a restless defiance. At her elite academy, where traditions met contemporary influences, she listened to hushed conversations among peers about freedom, passion, and rebellion. One evening, as she sat in a dimly lit corridor adorned with ancestral portraits, a senior student confided in a low, conspiratorial tone. The senior student said, "When the winds of change blow, some build walls while others build windmills." This proverb resonated deeply with Grace, stirring a longing to embrace the unpredictable currents of life. With each secret meeting and every stolen moment outside her rigid world, she began to step into the darkened alleys of Lagos, a city that promised both danger and liberation, where ancient spirits and modern temptations intertwined in every shadowed corner. One humid night, beneath a Lagos sky ignited by the glow of countless city lights, Grace ventured into the unknown. At a clandestine gathering held in a secluded compound on the outskirts, the rhythmic pulse of Afrobeat and the hypnotic sway of dancers created an atmosphere thick with promise. Amid this sensory explosion, a mysterious stranger approached her. His eyes, deep and dark as the midnight sky, held secrets that beckoned her with a dangerous allure. The stranger whispered, saying, "Freedom lies beyond the veil of pain." As Grace hesitated on the threshold of a new world, the echo of an old proverb filled her mind. "What is sweet to the tongue is bitter to the heart." Despite the thrill and the promise of escape from her loneliness, the wisdom of these words would soon reveal the true cost of her choice. At the tender age of 16, what began as a rebellious experiment soon escalated into a relentless battle with addiction. Each dose, once a fleeting escape from the isolation of her gilded life, gradually darkened her world. The luminous days of her youth gave way to nights of confusion and despair. The opulent corridors of her home, once symbols of her family's legacy, transformed into haunted passageways where echoes of laughter were replaced by a suffocating silence. Lagos, with its vibrant markets and lively chatter, no longer brought her joy. Instead, the city appeared as a vast labyrinth of despair, mirroring the turmoil within her soul. The seductive allure of the substance, initially a promise of liberation, now ensnared her in a web of darkness from which escape seemed impossible. Grace clung desperately to the illusion that the substance might deliver her from her inner pain. Each dose whispered promises of invincibility. Each escape offered a brief respite from the pangs of loneliness. In her intoxicated state, she believed that liberation lay in forgetting the pain of isolation. But as her reflection in tarnished mirrors revealed a visage marred by sorrow and regret, the truth became impossible to ignore. The once enchanting escape was now a cruel illusion, like a desert mirage that vanishes upon closer inspection. The ancient Yoruba proverb rang clear in her mind: "What is sweet to the tongue is bitter to the heart." This bitter truth echoed through her consciousness as the substance transformed from a temporary solace into a lifelong chain. As Grace's addiction deepened, the very fabric of her familial relationships began to unravel. The warm, nurturing embrace of her parents and the laughter of childhood friends slowly faded into memories of what once was. Her once sacred home, filled with echoes of shared stories and ancestral traditions, became a place of sorrowful silence and regret. Family members who had once offered unwavering support now hesitated, their hearts heavy with the pain of witnessing a beloved daughter lose herself. In hushed conversations among distant relatives, a proverb emerged, full of both warning and hope. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This timeless wisdom foreshadowed the eventual realization that only through reconnection and communal support might she find her way back from the precipice. Haunted by the relentless ghosts of addiction and self-doubt, Grace began to lose herself in a labyrinth of despair. The once vibrant markets of Lagos, alive with color, sound, and movement, now appeared as bleak corridors of isolation. Every step she took on the crowded streets felt heavy, burdened by the weight of regret and sorrow. In the depths of her darkest moments, when it seemed that hope had been extinguished, a quiet promise emerged from the shadows: no matter how long the night, the day is sure to come. Though the words offered only a glimmer of solace, they reminded her, and the listening hearts of those who knew her story, that the promise of a new beginning was never truly lost. Over the years, the ravages of addiction manifested visibly in Grace's body. Once luminous skin gave way to a pallid, worn appearance, and the feasts of her childhood were replaced by meager, unfulfilling meals that only deepened her physical decline. The vibrant energy that once defined her youth was now eclipsed by relentless bouts of malnutrition, paranoia, and illness. As she moved through the streets of Lagos, her once confident gait reduced to a weary shuffle. The city's vibrant energy seemed to mock her deterioration. Even the nurturing arms of nature, the ancient trees, the cool breeze of the Atlantic, could not mend the damage wrought upon her once cherished temple. The contrast between her past vitality and her present decay was a stark reminder that even the strongest bodies can be broken when burdened by inner torment. The grand wealth that had once defined Grace's world now lay in ruins, a painful irony of fortune turned to misfortune. The treasures and heirlooms that once whispered of a proud lineage and abundant life were now nothing more than relics of a past that seemed as distant as a fading dream. Her magnificent mansion, filled with artifacts of elegance and legacy, had transformed into a mausoleum of lost hope and shattered dreams. As she wandered through its cold, echoing halls, the old proverb came to mind: Money may fill a home, but it cannot mend a broken heart. This bitter truth underscored the profound loss, not merely of material wealth, but of the love and connection that had once made life worth living. One fateful night, when the familiar hum of Lagos was replaced by an eerie, suffocating silence, Grace found herself wandering the deserted streets alone. The normally bustling avenues, illuminated by the lively glow of streetlights and neon signs, now lay shrouded in darkness. The cool night air, instead of comforting her, seemed to emphasize her isolation. Under the dim flicker of a lone street lamp, she collapsed onto the cold, wet pavement. In that crushing solitude, she felt as though the universe itself had turned its back on her. Every heartbeat resonated with a painful loneliness, a stark reminder of the empty promises and shattered dreams that had led her to this starless night. At the nadir of her despair, Grace reached a moment when the weight of her 20-year struggle with addiction threatened to consume her entirely. With her heart heavy and her soul numb, she felt as though she were teetering on the edge of oblivion. The bitter winds of a desolate Lagos night, carrying the murmurs of long-gone ancestors, swept through the narrow alley where she lay broken. In that final, harrowing instant, as darkness enveloped her, an ancient proverb whispered through her consciousness, "Even when you fall, remember that the baobab tree grows strongest in the storm." These words, though soft and distant, began to kindle a spark of strength within her, a fragile promise that, even in the midst of despair, resilience could be born. In the midst of that unfathomable darkness, as Grace's life hung precariously in the balance, a miraculous occurrence unfolded. When all seemed lost, a voice gentle yet resonant pierced the silence. "Grace," it called, not with the rough cadence of this world, but with the soft timbre of ancient spirits. The voice, imbued with a divine quality, carried with it the timeless wisdom of generations past. In that transcendent moment, another proverb emerged in her heart. When the ancestors call, one must listen. Overwhelmed by a mixture of awe, fear, and hope, Grace felt her soul stir, a subtle yet undeniable sign that she was not yet forsaken. In that mystical space between life and death, the boundary between the earthly realm and the divine grew thin. As Grace lay trembling on the cold ground, she felt, as if by magic, an unseen hand lifted her from the abyss. The soft, otherworldly voice returned, now more insistent and clear, urging her to surrender her despair and embrace the healing light. "Rise, child of destiny," the voice intoned, its words reverberating like the steady beat of a sacred drum. Though every fiber of her being ached from withdrawal and the scars of years lost, Grace sensed a renewal stirring within her, a promise that her journey was far from over. In the days following that transformative night, a new calling began to pull Grace toward the wisdom of her ancestors. Guided by dreams and the soft murmur of remembered chants, she found herself at a secluded shrine on the outskirts of Lagos. Here, elders and healers gathered beneath the shadow of ancient trees, invoking the spirits of those who had come before. The head elder, his face lined with both sorrow and hope, intoned softly, "Wisdom is like a baobab tree. No one individual can embrace it." Surrounded by the swirling fragrance of incense and the hypnotic beat of traditional drums, Grace felt herself embraced by a collective heritage, one that promised healing and renewal through the sacred traditions of her people. The path to redemption was neither swift nor smooth. Every day became a battle, a clash between the searing pain of withdrawal and the slow, painful emergence of hope. Grace grappled with internal demons, each moment testing the limits of her resilience. Yet in the midst of her struggle, the words of the wind, echoing with ancestral wisdom, reminded her, "Child, redemption is not granted by the absence of pain, but by the courage to rise despite it." With trembling determination, she began to stitch together the tattered remnants of her soul, each small victory a testament to her unwavering spirit. As weeks melted into months, the divine encounter became a steady beacon guiding Grace back to the sanctuary of faith. In the quiet moments of early dawn, beneath a sky awash in soft hues, she would kneel in humble prayer. Each whispered invocation was a thread in the tapestry of her reborn spirit. Her prayers, mingled with the age-old chants of her people, ascended like incense toward the heavens. In that sacred communion, she clung to another ancient truth: prayer is the key that unlocks the door to the divine. With each daybreak, she reclaimed a piece of herself that had long lain dormant. One radiant afternoon, as the Lego sun blazed in a tapestry of fiery hues, Grace encountered a revered elder known for his profound understanding of life's trials. Draped in a flowing abaya and adorned with symbols of ancestral lore, the elder sat beneath a sprawling mango tree, its branches reaching out like protective arms. He beckoned her to sit beside him and share her burdens. "Elder, child, the road you have walked is strewn with thorns and shadows. Yet every scar you bear is proof of battles fought and lessons learned. In your eyes, I see the spark of a spirit that can illuminate even the darkest night." Grace listened intently as he continued, "Remember, even the longest night gives way to the morning light. Your journey is a mosaic of pain and triumph, each piece essential to the masterpiece of your life." In that gentle exchange, the elder's words became a beacon of guidance and hope, steering her toward a future defined by resilience and grace. Compelled by the elder's counsel and her own yearning for renewal, Grace sought solace in the ancient rituals of her people. Guided by a prophetic dream, she journeyed to a sacred river on the edge of Lagos, a waterway believed to be blessed by the spirits of her ancestors. There, amid the soft hum of nature and the murmurs of ritual chants, she joined a solemn ceremony led by a revered community healer. Clad in simple garments and surrounded by the reverence of gathered villagers, she stepped into the cool, flowing water. As the river's current washed over her, Grace felt the weight of her past begin to dissolve. The healer intoned in hushed tones, "Water does not forget its source." In that cleansing embrace, she reconnected with her origins and felt the promise of renewal seep deep into her soul. Even as her faith grew and hope flickered in her eyes, the specter of addiction was never far behind. There were nights when the old temptations crept back like shadows, whispering promises of an easier escape. On one such night, as the memories of her former life surged like relentless tides, Grace fought the inner battle with trembling resolve. In the quiet solitude of her modest room, the familiar pull of darkness was nearly overwhelming. But in that critical moment, she recalled another timeless truth: even the mightiest warriors stumble. It is the strength to rise that defines them. This reminder fortified her spirit. Though the battle was long and fraught with setbacks, every relapse became a painful lesson, a stepping stone on the arduous path toward lasting recovery. Amid the ceaseless struggles, small yet profound moments of hope began to appear like sparks in the darkness. A kind smile from a stranger on a busy Lagos street, the gentle murmur of early morning prayers, the sound of children's laughter echoing through a narrow alley, each of these moments rekindled a lost light within her. These fragments of beauty, though fleeting, were like gentle affirmations that life, in all its complexity, was still worth living. They nurtured a nascent flame of hope that, slowly but surely, began to illuminate the path forward. Time, like a patient healer, allowed Grace to slowly rebuild the fragments of her identity. In moments of quiet reflection, she began to see not only the scars of her past, but also the strength and resilience that had emerged from them. With the support of a community steeped in tradition and the wisdom of those who had walked similar paths, she rediscovered the myriad facets of her soul. Each sunrise became a celebration of a new beginning, each sunset a testament to the battles overcome. Through this introspective journey, Grace learned that beauty often lies in imperfection, and that every scar held the promise of wisdom and growth. As her inner light rekindled, Grace discovered a hidden talent that had long lain dormant, the gift of storytelling. At community gatherings and in intimate circles of survivors, she began to share the raw, unfiltered account of her journey. Her words painted vivid portraits of luminous Lagos mornings, of harrowing nights under a starless sky, and of the divine whispers that had ultimately led her back to hope. Moved by her vulnerability and strength, an elderly listener remarked with a tender smile, "Listener, a single bracelet does not jingle." This proverb resonated deeply, symbolizing that while one voice may seem small, the collective power of shared experiences can create a symphony of healing and inspiration. In time, Grace emerged not as a victim of her past, but as a radiant beacon of transformation. Her once muted voice now resonated with the gentle power of ancient storytellers, inspiring all who heard her tale. Whether speaking in community centers, local churches, or even in the quiet corners of crowded markets, she proclaimed that every heart held a story of struggle and triumph. In every scar, she would say with conviction, lies the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The wounds that once pained us can become the very symbols of our strength. Her words ignited sparks of change in those around her, each testimony a stitch in the fabric of communal healing. Grace's transformation radiated outward, reaching the hearts of those who had once distanced themselves in sorrow. Slowly, she reconciled with estranged family members and old friends, mending the delicate threads of kinship that had been frayed by neglect and despair. At vibrant gatherings beneath starlit skies, where the aroma of spicy jollof rice mingled with the rhythmic pulse of ancestral drums, the community welcomed her back with open arms. In these joyful reunions, a cherished proverb echoed, "It takes a village to raise a child." This collective embrace underscored the importance of unity, reminding everyone that no soul can truly heal in isolation. In the gentle art of reconciliation, the fragments of broken bonds were gradually woven into a tapestry of love and forgiveness. Over cups of steaming palm wine and long, heartfelt conversations beneath the shelter of ancient trees, family members and friends worked together to mend the wounds of the past. As they shared memories and rebuilt trust, the saying came to life, "The tree that bends in the wind does not break." It was in these tender moments of reconnection that Grace found solace, not only in the warmth of renewed relationships, but in the enduring truth that love, when nurtured, can overcome even the deepest of divisions. As the first light of a new day crept over the Lagos skyline, Grace emerged transformed. No longer defined by the shadows of her past, she now radiated an inner light that defied the darkness. With each sunrise, she felt reborn, like a phoenix rising majestically from its own ashes. The gentle glow of morning whispered a profound truth: even the smallest flame can pierce the darkest night. In that soft, golden light, hope was renewed, and Grace's heart shone as a beacon for others still searching for a way out of their own darkness. In moments of quiet reflection, Grace often retreated to a sacred grove where the voices of her ancestors seemed to whisper in the rustle of leaves and the soft murmur of ancient chants. Here, surrounded by the enduring presence of her cultural heritage, she internalized a lesson as old as time: when the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. This truth, imbued with the wisdom of generations past, reminded her that her strength was anchored in her heritage, a legacy of resilience, love, and unyielding hope. Even as grace and light began to define her new existence, the remnants of her turbulent past lingered like fading echoes. One moonlit night, when memories surged and old fears crept in, Grace confronted the final vestiges of her despair. Standing before the mirror of her soul, she gazed deeply into her own eyes and, with a steady voice, declared, "I am not defined by my past, but by the strength with which I rise." In that solemn confrontation, she recited the words that had come to embody her journey: "The river cuts through rock not because of its power, but its persistence." With this final act of liberation, she released every lingering shadow, allowing her true, resilient self to shine forth. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the city in hues of soft amber and deep indigo, Grace stood before an attentive audience in a humble community hall. Her journey, from the gilded halls of isolation, through the depths of despair, and ultimately to the radiant summit of redemption, had become a testament to the enduring power of faith, persistence, and ancestral wisdom. With heartfelt conviction, she addressed the gathered souls. The river cuts through rock not because of its power, but its persistence. Her final words echoed through the room, a clarion call to every listener to embrace their own struggles, learn from their scars, and trust that even the smallest, most persistent effort can transform the harshest of obstacles into stepping stones toward hope. Have you ever experienced a moment where faith or destiny saved you? She asked softly, inviting each soul present to share their own story and join in the eternal journey of healing and renewal. May this story of sorrow, struggle, and ultimate redemption, infused with the timeless wisdom of our ancestors, serve as both a mirror and a guide. Let Grace's journey remind us that no matter how deep the wound or dark the night, the light of persistence, community, and faith will always guide us toward a brighter tomorrow. If this story has stirred your heart, share your thoughts below, like and subscribe for more captivating stories.